Hi, I'm Teri M Brown. I'm the author of 2 books, and Atmosphere Press has been instrumental in helping me get them to publication. My first book is Sunflowers Beneath the Snow. It is a story about 3 Ukrainian women, and we followed them in the Ukraine from 1973 to present. And the really cool thing is that I tell everyone I wrote 82,000 words of fiction to tell 3 pages of truth. So you'll have to read the story to find out. And then the next one is An Enemy Like Me. And this is a World War II, and it's loosely based on some family history. And it talks about the idea of war changes people. And we look at that from the perspective of the soldier and his wife and his 4-year-old son.
Welcome to Homefront Sit Rep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Homefront Sit Rep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Sunday edition of Homefront Sit Rep. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend and a great week last week and ready for another exciting week this week. You are in for a whirlwind adventure tonight with my upcoming guest. From the intro video there, you can tell she's wrote 1 book and she just released her 3rd book. So we are excited to get with Miss Teri Brown today. So let's bring her on up to the stage. Welcome to the stage, Miss Teri Brown. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Anytime that I get to talk with, a daughter of a veteran, wife of a veteran, business owner, author, you name it, I love to bring them on the show and let them tell their story and how they got to where they are and stuff like that. So introduce yourself to the people out there watching.
All right. So, yeah, my name's Teri Brown, and I am an author of 3 novels. Um, I am a daughter of a veteran. I am the wife of a veteran. I am the granddaughter of a veteran. So there's a lot of veterans in my family. My grandfather fought in World War II. My dad was in the Air Force. He was actually stationed in Athens, Greece, where there was a joint Air Force base there for a time. And that's where I was born. So, I have really cool roots, and I was too young to remember too much about it. So, and then, um, yeah, so we moved back to Ohio when I was a kid, and I lived there a good portion of my life. I thought that I wanted to be an author, but I also wanted to be an Olympic ice skater and a brain surgeon. And what's
Nice.
funny about that is that, like I am one of the klutziest people you've ever met. So that was never going to happen. And in terms of brain surgery, I don't like blood. So I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but when I went off to college, doing something like being a writer was not considered a real career. And so my parents would have nothing to do with that. And so I had to pick a real career. So I ended up with 2 majors and 2 minors. And I laugh because I tell everyone I never used any of them in a career. So my parents ended up paying for a lot of college that I didn't use the way they wanted me to after all.
Right.
So I got married. I had 4 children. That marriage ended in divorce. I remarried, and that was probably one of the bigger mistakes of my life was that remarriage. He turned out to be emotionally abusive, and
Ooh,
I lived in that relationship for 14 years because I did not want to be divorced a second time. I
mm,
really wanted to
to make it work.
yeah, I wanted to make it work. And I finally got out of that relationship and met my now husband, although I was never getting married again. He's the veteran. He tells everyone that he chased me until I caught him. I'm still
Nice.
trying to figure out exactly what that means, but we've been married now for 5 years, so that must mean something. And he convinced me to do a big adventure, something that had been on his bucket list for years and years, which was ride across the United States on a bicycle.
Nice.
And I wanted to do an adventure because I wanted to prove that I still had something left in me, after those 14 years of a bad relationship. So we actually rode a tandem bicycle, a 2-seater, from the coast of Oregon to Washington, D.C., 3,102 miles
Wow.
during the COVID summer of 2020.
Nice.
So we rode all the way. Raised money for Toys for Tots. So we
Heck
were able
yeah.
to raise $37,000 for Toys for Tots. And we stopped at the Marine Corps Memorial in DC. And as we were coming up the hill outside of that memorial, and you could see the flag up over the hill, just the flag poking out, my husband says, that's it. That's where we're going. And I burst into tears. All right. And then I started to laugh. And then I started to cry. And then I started to laugh some more. And I realized I did it. I made it all the way across the United States, and I'm not an athletic woman, and this was a huge endeavor for me, way outside of my comfort zone. And when I made it all the way across, I said, I can do anything. What is it I
Yeah.
want to do? And I decided I really wanted to be an author. And so that's,
That's where your story takes off.
yeah, it
So
is.
how long did it take you guys to go across America on the bike?
So it was 72 riding days, but we were out there, I think 91 days because,
Okay.
we're not spring chickens. There are those things called rests. And we had to,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. I was wondering because you hear people that, walk across America, you hear
right.
people that there's one guy that was doing it on horseback, and I'm like, "Man, that's cool," and then you hear your story here, you rode on a tandem bike with your
Tandem
husband.
bicycle. Yeah.
I mean, people just don't realize how resilient the human, body is.
Well, I
So
think that people don't recognize what they're capable of doing. There is no way, given who I am and what I've done in my life, that going across the United States on a bicycle should have ever been something I considered. Like I said, I'm not athletic. I enjoy being outdoors, but like collecting shells or, that kind of thing. Like I don't
right.
mean like, outdoor kind of a person. Um, but I did it. And why did I do it? Because I determined I was going to. And there's a lot to that, having that determination in your head that I can do this,
Right.
you know.
So you went across America on a bike,
Yeah.
and now myself, I'm on my second marriage, and
Hmm.
I'm like you, that where I say I'm never getting married again. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Right, right.
But hopefully, I don't get a divorce because I got a great wife upstairs, a great support system, and um, so you figured out that you could go across America. You could pretty much do anything, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then you decided to jump into your journey of writing books. What was that process like for you? And how, were they the stories just in your head ready to come out?
So when I left my second husband, when I finally had enough and left that, the stories started coming out of me then. But I was too afraid to let anyone see anything that I was writing because I didn't believe in myself. 14 years in an abusive relationship doesn't leave you in a very good spot. And I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I really had anything worthwhile. But yeah, the stories were literally sitting in my head. I tell people that I have characters that live in my head and they whisper their stories to me. And if I'll just type, all I have to do is
Right,
type what they're telling me. And so I had a couple of manuscripts already accomplished, but they really weren't any good yet. It's kind of like a painter's first painting is not something they would usually show someone because they're still figuring out the brush strokes and how to blend their colors. And it's the
right.
same thing with writing. There's a lot going on in writing. It's more than just telling a story. It's developing characters. It's making sure that you're telling people things in a way that they're experiencing them rather than just reading about them on a page. It's figuring out how to blend history along with the story that you want to tell in a way that doesn't make people jerk in and out of your story. So there's a lot of
Right.
things going on. And yeah, so those early manuscripts were not very good, but what they did was they gave me a lot of experience trying to write, figure out what I was good at, what did I need help with,
Right.
what did I need to work on. But when I came back, I said, that's it. I'm gonna write. And 14 months later, my first book came out.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So during that time frame, have had your couple early on transcripts and stuff, and you're refining the process. How supportive? How supportive was your husband
Oh,
now? How supportive?
he's like my biggest fan. He tells everyone that I'm the next great American author. He believes all three of my books should be movies. He's picked out who should play the parts. I mean,
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
yeah he's 100% on board with what I'm doing. And um, I mean, I get real excited. Things will happen. I'll get a good review, and I'll go running in and read it to him, and he gets tears in his eyes.
That's
He's
awesome.
he's so happy about it. So yeah,
The
it's such a different experience from that second marriage that nothing I did was right. And then in this marriage, it's like everything I do is not only right, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
just to have that support system like that, I mean, and I'm gonna translate that kind of into the veteran side of things
Right.
because there's a lot of veterans out there that don't have that support at home. So, there might be a budding author, might be a budding singer, you name it. And if they don't have that support system at home that somebody believes in them, then we might not never hear that story. We might not ever hear that singing voice. So,
That
uh,
is true. And I think that, if you don't have that at home, but it's something that you want, then find that support system.
yeah,
There are, for instance, if you're wanting to be a writer, there are lots of author groups and you can
yeah,
find them. You can do them online, you can do them in person. Same, I'm sure, with singing or other things. Find those people who do support you and, go for your dreams. I'm
100,
1,000% into do the thing that makes you the happiest,
yeah,
and don't sit around and wait.
Yeah, definitely on that. I mean, there are programs out there for veterans,
Right.
the arts program that's out there that'll help. You know, if you want to be a singer, you want to be an author, you name it. You want to become a painter. That there's programs that the VA has that you can go through that will help you get there. And
Yeah.
like Terry said, if you don't have the support system at home, maybe you need to think about changing your support system. Unfortunately, a lot of people get stuck in a rut and they're like, well, I don't want to change. I just deal with it. And sometimes you just have to.
Right.
You have to make that change. So I'm gonna
But
shout out.
one of the things I want to say about that though is sometimes maybe you don't have to make the change right away, but you can find other people that support you.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
if you're not going to get the support from your spouse, you can find other people in your life that do support that. And then as you begin to believe in yourself more, then you can make decisions about what kind of changes do you want to make in your life.
Yeah, definitely. That's like with me, um, I have a great support system upstairs. She's, my wife is amazing, and my two daughters are amazing, and they support me doing this podcast journey. And um, with me, I've kind of developed this friendship with like Rich LaMonica. You were on his
Right.
podcast not too long
Right.
ago. Triple Threat Vets podcast, and a bunch of these other veteran podcasters, and we've kind of gelled together and we've grown together on this podcast journey. Rich was probably one of the first guys that I reached out to.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Oh, Rich is amazing.
Yeah.
Like if I got a question, I'll call him or text him, and he's pretty much Johnny on the spot.
Right.
And so I got to give a big shout out to Rich out there, and his like Richard, his brother's watching right now as well. So he says hello, Miss Terry. I got Rick Ames, one of my buddies. We're doing a veteran concert. So he's in the music business here locally
Right.
in my hometown, and we're putting on a veteran suicide prevention concert. It's 12 hours of music. So I try to surround myself with people that are like-minded with
Right.
me.
Right.
And I got a buddy that's doing a podcast episode with Conversations with a Vet right now because I introduced them together because his story it's one of those stories that you hear and you're like, how in the hell did you survive?
Right.
'Cause he's one of those stories that's like, bro. And so yeah, no, it's you have to support yourself, or you have to find people that support you. If you're not finding it at home, find it in different outlets. I'm not telling you go cheat on your wife.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, that's not what I meant.
yeah, yeah. We're just saying go find somebody who's going to help support you
Right.
and make your dreams come true.
And
So
even if you have a super supportive spouse, your spouse may not have the necessary skill set to tell you what you should be doing or could be doing or how to do, or and so it still might be really valuable. You can have a great husband or wife sitting at home and still reach out to a support system. Like you said, you've got a great wife upstairs, but that didn't stop you from reaching out and finding other vets who are doing similar things that you
right.
could then reach out to. So
Oh yeah, definitely. And I love everybody that I've came this last year. So February 28th will be 1 year of me doing a podcast. I started doing
congratulations.
audio. Thank you. I started doing audio only.
Hmm.
And then when I met Rich, he's like, hey, you need to do videos. So he helped me get started in doing video
Right.
podcasting. We were doing one episode a week, and then now we're doing 2 episodes a week. And we're booked all the way out to actually, I got like 2 days left in April to book, and I'll be done. March and April are filled. So,
Right.
um,
Right.
no, I'm
Fantastic.
excited. Thank you. And we bring in people like you. We bring in veteran service organizations from around the country, and let people know what's out there. And then I'm excited about your new book that you got coming out. Now you got two books prior, but you got
Right.
one that's coming out now.
Well, one that just came out like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, somewhere right in there. Yeah.
So how did that story come to you?
So this is crazy. Let me just give a real quick background. It is a story about 1890s healer woman. They're called granny women in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. And I follow these three generations of women. We see kind of a tug and pull between the old ways and the new ways in medicine. But the way this came to me is a crazy story. I had a wart on my thumb. And, no big deal. I had gone to my primary care for just a regular checkup. I said, "Hey, while I'm in here, can you remove this wart?" And she said, "Oh, no, we would have to send you to a specialist."
Wow.
And I thought, "Oh my gosh." So I just went to the local pharmacy and got one of those patches, and that was the end of that. But about 2 weeks later, I was talking to my brother on the phone, and we were both complaining about how our primary care doctors used to do things in the office that they don't do anymore. So I told him about my wart, and he says to me, "Why didn't you just have someone talk it off?" I said, "What? Do what?" And he said, "Yeah, I got a buddy that talks off warts." Well, I'm that gullible person in my family, and my family will tell me stories. And then for years at Christmas time, I hear about, "Oh, remember the time we told Terry something or other," and ha ha ha. So I didn't believe him at all. And I just, let that go. But when we got off the phone, I couldn't let it go. And so I looked it up, and lo and behold, there are people who can talk off a wart.
Hmm.
They talk to your wart, and within a week, it's gone.
Hmm.
So I thought, huh. So I started doing a little more looking and found out that there were a lot of people who can do a lot of crazy things like that, like blow in your mouth if you have thrush and the thrush will disappear, or talk to a woman who is pregnant but the baby is breech, facing the wrong way, and they
Right.
can talk to the baby and the baby will flip. And the
Hmm.
more I looked, it was leading me more and more into the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. And all of a sudden, there was a woman in my head named Maggie, who is now one of my main characters in this book. And she started talking to me, and I knew that was going to be my next book.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
really
Yeah.
a crazy way to come up with a
Oh,
book.
yeah. So you kind of went down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and when you were going down this rabbit hole, the story came to you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And so you said it's been out what 3 weeks now? You
3
said,
weeks. Mhm.
and how's it doing? Do you know how it's
Yeah, I
doing?
mean, it's definitely doing better than my first two, because part of that is I understand marketing a little better. When my first
Okay.
book came out, I didn't know anything about marketing. My book came out and I sat in front of the computer and waited for it to sell and didn't understand why it wasn't happening. And it's because nobody knew it was there yet, right?
Right.
And so this, with my second book, An Enemy Like Me, that was a much better launch than the first. And this one is a better launch. I think that the more you do it, the more you know what it is you need to do to kind of
Right.
create a buzz.
And to reach the people that you wanna reach as
Right.
well,
Right.
so
And now too, I have a newsletter list. And so I have 1,200 people on my newsletter list. Most of those people have read one or both of my other books, and therefore they're wanting to read that third one. So
see,
you
that's
start building. Nothing happens fast, and
right.
it's the same with your podcast. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
the first podcast you put out, I'm sure the only people who really listened to it were the friends that you begged to listen to it, because that's what
Yeah,
happens on
yeah.
podcast number 1, right? But
Yes,
by the
ma'am.
time you get up to a year, now you have people who are listening,
Yeah.
who, if they can't listen live, go back and listen later, and it starts to build. And by year 2 it will build even more, and by year 3 it builds even more. And it's the same thing with being an author.
Okay. Yeah, and you are right. Like the first few episodes, it was,
Yeah,
maybe 5, 10 people
right.
would, listen to it, and then as we progressed, and like you said, I do the video now, and then I still upload the audio to all
Right.
the sites. So
Right.
like we're behind, like I think we're behind like 3 or 4 episodes of who I interview. So like I said, I do two Sunday and Monday, and then I upload my audio on Tuesday. And
Right.
then literally, like, I got people like Michael Whitlatch here, who's in Wheeling, West Virginia. Him and his wife Susan, they watch every time I come on. And we were introduced from another friend, James Thornton, the one that's on the other podcast I was talking about earlier. And building that relationship and building that rapport with these
Exactly.
people that are watching and stuff. And then literally I'm in so I've had people in Australia listen to me. I've had people in Asia listen to me, United Kingdom, everywhere except for Africa. I've had people in Brazil, so I've got out there. I'm reaching, far and wide, and it's just
Right.
like, well, how do I keep making it better and bringing on the content that people want to hear about?
Right. Right.
And like your story, the enemy like me, I'm like, bro, that's a World War II story. And tomorrow I got Go for Broke, which is about World War II. I'm like, see, that was just destined to be that.
Yes. So the World War II story is really interesting. It's based really loosely on my family. I told you my grandfather fought in World War II,
Right.
and I'm German American heritage.
Okay.
So, but my family has lived in the United States since the 1700s, but my
Okay.
maiden name was Buffmeyer, and it
Okay.
used to be Pulfenmeyer. I mean, it was very German, right? And my grandfather, when he fought in World War II, ended up in Germany. And he spoke very little about the war. Very rarely did he even bring it up when I was a kid. But one time as a teenager, he said to me, I always wondered if the person on the other side of my gun was a cousin.
Mm,
And that stuck with me. I didn't recognize then that it would be a book, but
right.
it became a book. And so the main character in An Enemy Like Me, Jacob, is a first generation German American. His parents were from Germany, moved to Canton, Ohio, had a child, World War II breaks out, and then he believes he's going to go fight the Japanese, and he ends up instead fighting in Germany and
Man.
recognizes that he's more like the enemy than he is different from the enemy.
Mm,
So
no,
that's kind of where that story goes. So it's World War II, but it's more about, like, what makes an enemy.
right.
And we see the war from his point of view, but also from his wife and his 4-year-old son that he leaves behind when he goes to war.
Mm. So that sounds like a very riveting story that
Yeah.
I would love to read. Just because for I'm a history when it
Right.
comes to military history, I love
You love
military
it. Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
And just to hear, different points of view because when I was in the military, I always wondered granted, I knew a lot of times who my enemy was,
Right.
but it was just
Right.
like, could we be related somehow down, through generations past? Because my family, you know, um, I'm like a Heinz 57, so I got German, I got Irish, I got English, I got you name it, I got it. So
Right.
it's like a Heinz 57. So you never know. Somewhere
Right.
down the line, the bloodline could have split somewhere. So yeah,
Well, and
it's
and I think the other thing is, and I'm sure you recognize that, is that, we have people that we label as enemies, and they are enemy overall, but those individuals aren't necessarily bad. Does that
right,
make sense? Like maybe they're on the wrong side of things politically, and they have to be your enemy because that's what war is.
right,
But individually, if you met them in some other setting, if you met them over coffee and bagels somewhere,
yeah,
you probably wouldn't find them to be an enemy at all.
yeah.
In
No, I
fact, you'd
agree with
find
you.
them to be so much more like you. And I think that's kind of what this book explores, is that idea of what makes an enemy, and not in a way that says that, military is wrong, but in the idea of, do we need enemies in everyday life?
Right, right. No,
You
I
know,
think if people, stop seeing other people as enemies,
yeah.
then the world will be a better place.
Well,
Um,
and I say all the time that if we were to focus on one another's similarities rather than our differences, there would be a whole lot more love and compassion. Because
yeah,
once you've made a friend with someone and you have found, like, that connection, the things that are different about you don't matter as much.
no, I agree with you
Yeah.
100% on that. I mean, that's like, everybody says when they're in the military or been in the military, I don't see color.
Right.
Well, sometimes you have to see color because you need to see the color because that you need to see the culture,
Right.
the history behind the color that's on their skin, and so sometimes you have to celebrate the color, and a
Right.
lot of people don't realize that.
And so even in my new book, Daughters of Green Mountain Gap, I talk about that a little bit, because the oldest woman, Maggie, She actually befriends a Cherokee medicine man and learns some of her techniques from him. And when she goes back to her community, they're not happy with that.
Right.
They don't like that idea because, those are savages and they're non-Christian and they've got all these reasons why they don't want her to do this medicine. And she pretty much tells them, fine, I'll leave.
Yeah.
And they recognize they're going to be left without a healer. And that is not where you want to be in the mountains of North Carolina in the 1890s, is without a doctor, without a healer.
Right.
And
Right.
so she kind of forces people's hand to at least try to be okay with,
Right.
she can't force people to get rid of their bigotry, but she can at least make them swallow it a little bit.
Yeah. So there's the TV series Outlander. Have you seen that?
Yeah. No,
So,
I've been told all about it, but I haven't seen it.
so she's a time traveler. Um,
Right?
and she goes back and puts Scotland back when it first starts, and then they moved to the United States, North Carolina area, matter of
Right?
fact. And she's a healer, she's a doctor. That's what she does before she time traveled. And when she went back, and she was coming up with like penicillin and stuff like
Right.
that. And
Right.
they're like, "Are you a witch?" They thought she was a witch. And so it's very eerie, similar to your story, because back then, they didn't look as the female as being a doctor, or could be a doctor or a
No.
healer.
No.
And if she was a healer, then they considered her a witch, pretty much.
Well,
And
and there's a lot of what I call mountain magic
yeah,
that goes into this healing, and there's chanting and there's special brews they put together and all of these things which can very much look like, witchcraft.
mm-hmm.
But I think what's really going on is it's faith. Like,
Yeah,
I believe that I can heal you. You believe that I can heal you. Therefore, it allows your brain to believe it's going to be healed, and therefore you allow your body to heal itself. I mean, that's
yeah,
kind of what I see going on. But for instance, if Maggie had been up in Salem during the witch trials, she would have been considered a witch
oh
because
yeah,
she had abilities to do things, that aren't considered, I don't know, they're
natural.
not
Yeah,
they're unnatural somehow. And yet I think what it is it's kind of like a sixth sense that she really understood people, and she had just a really good way about her. And
yeah.
you know,
And over the course of history, there's always been those people that somehow have knowledge that is unearthly, let's put it that way. Let's
yeah, yeah,
kind of like Albert Einstein, or Thomas Jefferson, or Thomas Edison, you name it. Some of these people, they come up with ideals that are, back then, were crazy.
right,
But
right.
now, look at Thomas Edison, who created light, electricity, to
Can you
be
imagine
able to.
being without it? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So no,
and when he first started talking about it, they all thought he was nuts.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Right,
And it's just like, what the heck is going on? So
right.
no, and and it sounds like your stories, the three that you have out, if you had to rate them, uh, from best to worst, I know they're
Oh,
your books.
yeah,
I
no,
know.
that's hard. So my first one, Sunflowers Beneath the Snow, is about 3 generations of Ukrainian women. And the reason that that one, I think, did as well as it did was because 2 weeks after it came out, Russia invaded Ukraine. So my
Oh,
book was incredibly timely. It was
okay,
not that I want that to be timely, like nobody wanted that, but it just happened that it was very timely. Um, I think that An Enemy Like Me is better written than Sunflowers Beneath the Snow, but it's much harder to get a World War II genre book to stand out among the crowd of all of the World War II genre books.
right,
Um, Daughters of Green Mountain Gap, it's new. I have yet to prove it, but I feel that it is the best written of my
okay,
3. And I really like the topic because it's not one that too many people have tackled.
okay.
1890s in the Appalachian Mountains is not something most people look to war. And,
Right.
and World War I, World War II, Korean War,
Or
Vietnam
romance.
War, some war, right? And Civil War. I mean, we've got lots of wars that people like to do historical fiction around. So the fact that this one is not that, I think helps it stand out a little more.
Awesome. So I'm not going to ask you on which one would be your favorite if you had a favorite, because
It's
obviously
so hard.
right, because they're all your favorites because you wrote them.
They're my babies.
Right, yeah. It's like asking my wife which child is your favorite.
Right,
It just don't happen. So
I think, though, if I had to say one was a favorite, I lean a little bit towards An Enemy Like Me, simply because it's loosely based on my grandfather and my father. And
okay,
having that little bit of family history in there. My dad has since passed away from leukemia. And so to have a book out there that somehow like pays homage to him is
mhm.
nice. So there's a little bit of that in there, but in terms of like which book is the best book, read all three and you let me know.
Awesome, yeah. So if you're out there and you want to read Miss Terry's books, you can go to her website, which Miss Terry is.
Teri M Brown, and that's Terry with one R. So it's terrymbrown.com. And you can get my books there. You can also get them on Amazon or pretty much anywhere books are sold. And while on my website, you can look at my icons. I have all the social media icons up there. And so just pick whichever one you like to follow people on. You can also get on my newsletter. And if you don't want to do any of that, but have a question, I have a contact page. So feel free to just reach out and chat with me.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Miss Terry will reply pretty hastily because, like, I reached out to her and well, actually, no, Rich introduced us and we just
Right.
started talking, and then yeah, so she will reach out to you really quickly or answer your
I am
question.
quick, usually within 24 hours. And the only time that's not true is if there's some crazy thing happening at the house. So,
So your book's out, and
yeah.
I know you probably already started writing your next book.
Yes, I have.
So, um, and I just guessed we hadn't even discussed that
No,
in
we haven't.
future or the chats prior. So, kind of give a hint of what this next book what might be about.
So I tell people that I might be committing author suicide here because my first three books are definitely in the historical fiction genre. And this next book is not that at all. It completely is different. It is a contemporary. It is a first person point of view. I only have one point of view, and it's about it's a comedic look. It's funny about a woman going through menopause and all of the crazy things that are happening to her, and just her trying to live life in the midst of all of that. And this book idea came out. If you have any female listeners out there, they will know the book Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, which I read probably 30 times as a young teen. And that became a movie not too long ago. And I guess I
Mhm.
heard I don't know, I was hearing some news story or something about it. And my thought was, I wonder whatever happened to Margaret. And my next thought is she now goes by Peg and she's going through menopause. And the book was born. So
Nice, nice. That is awesome. So I love how you know most people who are artistic in nature, when they finish one project, they're already thinking of their next project.
yeah,
It's kind of like me with this podcast. And you can ask my wife; she'll tell you that I'm always talking about the podcast and who I've reached out to and who I want to come on next and
and
the next direction.
who's going to be next. And I got
Yeah,
Terry tonight, and I got tomorrow, and I've got
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's just like and it never ends. And I always tell people that idle minds and veterans don't mix, and it's similar to a writer. It's similar to a singer songwriter. If your mind goes idle, then you're not writing
Right.
on the pages of that book. You're it's not really writer's block. It's just like if your mind goes idle and you don't have that story, that imagination in your head, you're just dead in the water.
Yeah, I tell people that I don't believe in writer's block. I think writer's block just means you have too many other things on your mind to allow your creativity out. And you either need to fix whatever it is that's on your mind or find a way to put it in a box.
Yeah.
Like it's only going to bother me certain times of day. And when it's in the box, it's not going to bother me. Because at least for me, unless something crazy is happening, I always have an idea.
Yeah.
In fact, I have to tell my ideas, hush, I'm in the middle of a book right now. I can't get to you now, and they're clamoring and it's like, shh, I can't work on 3 things at once,
Right. So is that when you stick a pin in it and I'll come back to you?
Yeah, I do. I have a folder on my laptop and it's called ideas. And if I get an idea like that just won't go away, I'll write maybe a paragraph or 2, just enough to kind of get the basic down. And then I'll put it in that folder and it's like, now you can be quiet, hush, and let me get back to what I'm doing,
And then that way you can go back to it
Yeah.
later and be like, yeah, I'm just like that. Like on my computer here, I got folders that says ideals and I'll put things in there. Like if I want to talk about this or I want to talk about that
Right.
or,
Right.
who I reached out to. And literally, I don't have my backpack down here, but I have a notebook and my planner, and then I have my phone. So I start putting if it's not on one, it's on the other.
On the other. Well,
Yeah.
and I get ideas a lot of times. So I live at the beach. I live on the coast of North Carolina, and I'll go walking in the morning and an idea will come to me about 2/3 of the way through my walk. And I grab my phone and I just dictate real quickly whatever it is that hit me. And then I let it go. And then I come back later and I take that and put that into my file as well. So
Heck yeah. No, I love it. I mean, and you can always tell an artistic person because they're always talking to themselves. Because I know I do. I'm always talking to myself, and you can always tell. Like if you're in a crowd and you see somebody that's talking to themselves, either they're homeless or they're very artistic.
I tell people all the time, I have people talking to me in my head and know I'm not crazy or not that crazy anyway.
Right. Now, if you answer yourself, then they might consider you crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I even answer myself, but that's okay because I'm pretty solid about who I am, so it's okay.
Well, I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm definitely right there with you. So yeah, if people, I'm gonna add this to the stage. If you want to find Teri's books, you can go. I don't know why it's got two. That's weird. I just now noticed that it's got www.
Oh, www. That's okay. Just forget one of those wwws.
Yeah. So just go to terrybrown.com and you can get her books on there, or you can go to Amazon. You can pick her books up there. Like I said, she is the daughter and granddaughter of a veteran. She's married to a Marine Corps veteran.
Yeah.
Who is her support system and her number one biggest fan. So definitely go out there and find Teri's books, especially if you like reading. They're they're historical fiction, and your book. Which one won the last year's book of the year? Was that?
So they've actually both won that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So both of them have won book of the year.
Yeah, so Sunflowers Beneath the Snow won 12 awards, which is really amazing for a first book. And so far, An Enemy Like Me has won 23 awards.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, and is this loosely, the awards, are they based on like category or?
So some of them, it just depends so much on the award. Some awards are like just fiction and you're up against everybody. Other awards narrow it down more. So is it historical fiction or is it, science fiction or what is it? So it depends. So I've won some of all of those categories. It just kind of depends what that award is.
That's awesome. So like the New York's bestsellers list.
Right. I haven't hit that one yet.
How do you get on that?
That's a question that I honestly don't even quite understand. It actually has to do with sales.
Okay.
It usually has to do with pre-sales, and it's really difficult for a new author that doesn't have a huge publisher to
Okay.
break into. So if you've got a small publisher, it's going to be a difficult journey getting there.
Okay.
But yeah, it has to do with sales, like how many sales. But then they also have a really weird way of figuring it out, and has to do with you get certain amount of points for hardbacks and a certain amount of points for paperbacks, and they don't count digital books at all. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's a different thing.
Okay. So Michael Whitlatch, the one I was talking about earlier
Yeah.
in Wheeling, West Virginia, I think Miss Susan, your wife, would like to read all three of Miss Terry's books, Michael. So it might be a good gift for you to get Miss Susan.
Yeah, Mother's Day's coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I might have to get my daughters, well, one of my daughters, well, both my daughters and my wife love to read, so I'm definitely going to have to get copies of your books. And as you can tell, I've got books here
Right.
that people have sent me. This one here, The Sacrifices, Michelle Black. I got her coming up. She is a Gold Star widow. Her husband died overseas, and she's been she wrote that book, and it's just an amazing story. And
I'm sure it
uh,
is.
so see, there you go, Michael. So you can go to terrybrown.com. Is it terrymBrown.com
TeriMBrown.com.
and order the books, or you can go to Amazon and you can order her books there,
Now,
Michael.
if you go to my website, I'll sign them,
There you go. There
which
you go.
which makes a really cool present. People like a signed book.
Oh yeah. I like signed books. No, I love it. No, yeah, if I can help you anyway, like when it comes to promoting you, and when your next book comes out, I'm definitely going to have you back on, because
Fantastic.
we'll definitely have to talk about it. And you got my phone number, I got your phone
That's
number. We can
absolutely
definitely,
right.
and I'm sure Rich will have you back on as well. And then what we might wind up doing is, so we do a Tip of the Spear Veterans Roundtable. We do it once a month,
Mhm.
usually the last Wednesday of the month, and what we just basically talk about is current events going on around the world and in our own country and stuff like that. So we might bring you on as a guest for that.
That'd be great. I
Just to,
am up for just about anything. Not anything. I'm afraid to say anything around too many people. They might have something I wouldn't do, but yeah, no, I tell people all the time that as an author, and pretty much as any artist in any venue, if you're not willing to stand up and talk about what you do and be proud of what you do, then you might as well go find something different to do.
oh yeah,
Because if I don't say that I write books and I write good books and you should read my good books, if I can't say that, then nobody else is going to say it for me.
yeah. So if you had one piece of advice that to give anybody out there that wants to write a book, or get out of a bad relationship, what would that advice be?
Okay, so if you want to write a book, I would say start now. Don't wait. Don't wait for a degree. Don't wait for a class. Don't wait for anything. Go ahead and start writing. You don't get better writing by thinking about it. You only get better writing by writing. And then find yourself a group of people that you feel comfortable with, who can read what you're writing and give you feedback, and then act on that feedback, because your end goal is to please the people who are reading your book. And so listen to what they have to say. And then the other piece that I would put in there, I think, is don't wait to start marketing until the book is already out, like I did with my first one. Like, you need to start marketing as soon as you know that you want to be an author. You need to start letting people know, I'm a writer. I have my first, I'm writing my first manuscript. Go ahead and get your website up. Go ahead and start creating a following. Go ahead and start getting out there on social media. Let people know you exist and that you're an
Yeah.
author. In terms of getting out of a relationship, I've told people, you can't force someone to leave until they're ready.
Yeah.
And so, for someone who is in a bad relationship, if you're listening and you're in a bad relationship and you feel like you're ready to go, do it. Get out. There is beautiful life on the other side of that. It might take a little bit of time to get to it, but there is, it doesn't have to be as miserable as what you're living. I can guarantee that.
No, I agree with you there. I grew up my mom was in an abusive relationship when I was a child, when I was younger, and uh, we were in that relationship. I say we because I was
Right,
involved
you
as
were in it
well,
too, right.
but almost 10, 12 years.
Yeah,
And finally, mom got to the point where she was
she'd had
done. She
enough,
had enough. Yeah.
right,
And it sometimes it does take time. Um, you just have to find, like Terry said earlier, you just have to find a support system that will help you.
right,
And us veterans, we know that better than most because for us dealing with our PTS and stuff that we deal with, we latch on to other veterans that have similar stories.
right,
So,
right. Because you know that there isn't anything you're going to say that's going to shake them,
right.
because they've thought it themselves. They've
Yes, ma'am.
been there themselves, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not going to say anything shocking.
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
sometimes you feel like if you went and said it to, your neighbor, they might be shocked by what they
Yeah.
hear because they haven't been through the same things. So,
Let's see. Michael says, after 14 years of marriage, I had to give it up due to drugs and cheating. There you
yeah.
go. So, and Michael, like you're saying, there is, you had to get out of a abusive relationship because she was not doing the things that she needed to be a good wife. And it's similar, if roles reversed, it was a male doing the same thing as well. I mean, you
You
have
you
to
d
leave the
you have to
relationship.
leave. You have
Yeah,
to, and it's not easy because, something you said earlier about people not wanting to get out, it's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and people become afraid, and they're afraid to leave, they're afraid to reach beyond what they've got, because what if it's worse?
yeah,
At least I know what I've got in this bad relationship. And
yeah.
I if you know someone in a relationship like that, the best thing you can do is support them, be their friend, be there for them, because eventually they'll get to that point where they're ready to go. And
Yeah.
when they are, they're going to need friends. They're going to need people who will stand behind them.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that 100%. And that goes for friendships as well, not just,
Yeah, exactly.
relationships, but there's always the one friend or two friends that um weigh you down,
Right.
and they want to bring you down to their level because, they feel bad about themselves or whatever not. Those are the ones that you need to cut bait with and run. It might take you a little bit of time because they're your friends. They've been friends for, 15, 20 years.
Right.
But
Right.
you have to cut bait. I mean, eventually you have to cut bait and put people in your life that's going to make your life better. So I
Right.
love it. Well, Miss Terry, it's been my pleasure having you on here tonight.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
Whenever you're ready to come back on, when your new book is out, or if
I
you've
will
got
let you know.
any exciting news, feel free to reach out to me and say, "Hey, have me back on," and
Sounds
I
great.
will gladly get you back on. So,
Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time tonight.
well, thank you, and you have a great night. And
All
tell your
righty.
husband simplify for me.
I sure will.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Miss
Bye.
Terry. Bye bye. How cool was that, guys? I tell you what, I saw her episode on Rich LaMonica's show, The Misfit Nation, and I was like, "Yep, I'm going to have her on my show," just because she's so riveting when you talk to her, and she's very elegant when it comes to wording, and she's spot on when she's talking about dealing with being in an abusive relationship, and she got out and she's now doing this, and it's made her life 100 times better than where she was in that 14-year span. So, um, yeah, guys, like I said all the time, when you're in out talking with somebody and you look them in the eye and you ask them how they're doing, and they say, "Oh, I'm fine." You got to ask that next hard question: How are you really doing? So you got to do that. And Michael, like you were having some struggles not too long ago with the dog, getting the dog and stuff. Uh, so yeah, definitely. I mean, you just got to keep asking people how they're doing and really mean it. Yes, you are right, Michael. You definitely have to ask that hard question. So, with that being said, I'm gonna take a few minutes and pay the bills. I got some sponsors here that I need to bring up. So, if you're in the music business, you got to check out talenttalents.com. Louisville Local Entertainment, both of those guys. Rick Ames is a superb dude. Chris Hawks is amazing as well. And what they do for people, bands and promoters and venues, everything they do it for free. So definitely, if you're in the music business, check those guys out. Then I got Your Six, Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Check Matt and Becky out. I tell you what, their shirts are amazing. I'm excited to get my shirt up and running on the website, which that'll be revealed soon. I'm super stoked about it, and we got a couple other shirt ideas in the works. So I'm super excited about that. And then veteran mortgages. If you're looking for a home and you're a veteran, check out Veteran Mortgage Solutions, man. They'll take care of you.
Owner of Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of Homefront Sit Rep, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for over a year. So please go and check out Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talenttalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to Homefront Sit Rep, a veteran-owned and operated podcast just for you.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as Homefront Sit Rep, made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up, Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to Homefront Sit Rep.
Gear up in style wearing Got Your Six apparel. Every purchase makes a difference. It's more than just clothing, it's a statement of gratitude. Upgrade without breaking the bank. Discover cost-effective, high-quality clothing made in the USA. Each shirt is handcrafted by our team in the great state of Texas and shipped for free to your front door. Got Your Six is where quality meets purpose. We're a small veteran-owned business that takes pride in the mission and the value of our products. Join us in growing a community, supporting our heroes, veterans, and first responders by wearing a custom design.
I thought you'd never ask.
Visit sameflagsameoath.com and use the code TRIPLETHREAT for 10% off. Follow us on all social media platforms for any upcoming releases or events, and you can reach out to us with questions anytime. We are here to support our brothers and sisters.
Hey guys, Mac Verdi here with Veteran Mortgage Solutions. As rates are dropping, home values are going to start to go up. It's time to start looking if you're looking to purchase a home. That being said, we are an all-military veteran loan officer team. We know the ins and outs of the VA home loan. We are considered the experts in this field. Give us a call today. Go to our website, veteranmortgagesolutions.com. Fill out my quick form. I'll give you $500 off towards closing costs. Have a great day.
And I'm back. All right, so I'm excited, man. We got some killer shows coming up. Tomorrow I got Go for Broke, which is 442nd Regiment during World War II, which was made up of primarily Japanese American soldiers from Hawaii and mainland here. And so I'm gonna have Mitch on. He's the president of Go for Broke National Education Center. And the video I got that I made for those guys, man, I'm super excited about that. So definitely tune in tomorrow at 7 o'clock for that. Um, Hopefully it's going to be a really, really nice episode. I got Ty Cobb. He's going to come on and he's going to be my co-host for that tomorrow. Mr. James Thornton was supposed to be on tonight, but he's on a podcast right now with Conversations with a Vet, man. I tell you, I had Coralie had me on not too long ago. She's the mom of two Marines. One of her sons is in Lima Company right now. I think still in boot camp, and the other one's been in for 13 years. And I got her and James hooked up, and James is on there telling his story as we speak. And so, yeah, man, check it out. We got Tip of the Spear coming up on the 28th. That's going to be a really, really exciting one. We got Dr. Teresa Larson coming on that show. We got Tab Bartley coming on that show. We got Cora Lee from Conversations with the Vets going to be on there as well. And then plus, your regulars, you got Triple Threat Vets podcast. You got Rich LaMonica from Misfit Nation. You got me. You got Dexter Pitts. Mr. Adam Bird is going to make his debut. Mr. Adam Bird is with Heroes Media Group. Also Heroes Beverages Group as well. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome podcast coming up, episodes coming up. And you are right, Michael, it will be a fantastic Tip of the Spear. And then tomorrow's going to be an awesome one as well. And then on Sunday, February 25th, I got Warriors Next Adventure. If you haven't checked those guys out, you need to check out Warriors Next Adventure. And then on Monday, the 26th, we're going to wrap up Homefront Sit Rep episodes on Monday, the 26th, until we start March with Tim Jensen. He is the co-owner of Grunt Style, the shirt company. So we're going to have Tim Jensen on. We're going to talk about Grunt Style, the shirts, and then we're also going to talk about the Grunt Style Foundation that they have. And then March, let's see, January, February, March, we have a whole month of shows lined up. It's going to be a whirlwind of, veteran service organizations. So definitely keep a lookout and check us out. And do me a favor, if you're out there, you're watching, like, share, do all the things to make us help reach more veterans out there. Like, share our platforms, our YouTube channel. Go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Homefront Sit Rep, our Facebook page at Homefront Sit Rep Podcast. So definitely go and join our private group at Homefront Sit Rep on Facebook. Like and share anytime you see the videos. Like and share any shorts or anything. We're on TikTok. I post shorts on TikTok, Instagram. I don't do Twitter. Not a big fan of the X. So yeah, just reach out in any of the platforms that we're out there and just look up Homefront Sit Rep and you'll find us. And definitely come hang out with us, man. We'd love to see you. And just like my shirt says, Michael, you are enough, my friend. My wife got me this shirt and I love it because it's got an amazing message on the front. It's got an even more amazing message on the back, but I'm not going to stand up because nobody wants to see my butt. But I'll have to next time I'll have it without the hoodie on, and I'll show everybody what the back says. So, but it's amazing. Like I said, everybody, you're enough. All you got to do, man, is believe in yourself because you are enough. So yeah, check us out. Like, share. One veteran at a time. You are correct, my friend. One vet at a time. And like I say, always ask that next hard question because I'm going to tell you I'm fine, even though I'm not. I deal with demons every day. And, sometimes they creep in on me, sometimes they don't. But you got to have a good support system. Like Terry said, you got to have a good support system. So definitely, check on your brothers, check on your sisters, check on your family members. Just check on everybody. Be a good human. I mean, it don't take nothing to be a good human. Just be a good human. Check on people. Creep in on mine tonight. There you go. There you go, my friend. So, anywho, like I always say, guys, be safe out there, and I got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.